there were not so many questions, in fact, but let's go one by one. So the first question to Leslie. So please switch on your microphone. Okay. Leslie, so what do you think from your research? It doesn't matter if the person is fond of horses or dogs or not, the positive effect will still be there. What's your personal opinion?
My personal opinion is that the positive effect will absolutely be there. We tested people who like dogs, who don't like dogs. We tested people who like horses, who don't like horses. The effect was broad and across the board that the animals are affecting us positively.
And what did people actually reported as a feedback of these sessions? Even if they don't like horses and dogs, did they feel some positive change or not?
No, interestingly, people felt no difference at all. They just, the measurement was taken very quickly, as most scans are, and people said they just felt normal. So the incoming energy is sort of subtle and quiet, and it's affecting us positively, very quietly.
Okay. So it means that you don't know how long is the effect, and you need to study it more. Yes.
Correct. We don't know how long it lasts. I've done a few sort of non-research oriented follow-up scans on myself with my own dogs. And what I see with my own body is that my energy goes back to baseline, but not quite, within minutes of discontinuing touch. So there seems to be a small amount of carryover positive effect, but it doesn't seem to last particularly long, but I haven't researched that formally.
Okay, and there's another question. How about the cats?
I'm so glad that someone asked that question. We tried so hard to get cat people to participate in this study. We lined up a total of 6 cat people, and interestingly, they didn't have to travel. I went to everyone's home because we sort of wanted the animals to be comfortable. Every single cat person canceled at the last minute, and their excuses were across the board odd. They would get scared. They would think they were going to see something in their own health that would show they were going to die. I don't really have an explanation for it, but not one cat person came through.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay. May I make a little remark on this?
Yes.
Of course, this is extremely interesting research, amazing research, because we have a lot of data on the influence of animals on people. We have the line of hippotherapy, and we know that for children with mental problems, it's amazing to have this hippotherapy. Same with dogs, same with cats.
Right.
And that is why it is so interesting and important that you did this research. And of course, I really ask you to have it published.
I'm going to try.
Yes, at least there are many journals and peer-reviewed journals that would accept it with pleasure. And one more topic, you know that we are developing this new device.
Yes.
So we have experience in measuring cats and little dogs. And it was demonstrated because it was done in veterinary clinic by one of our colleagues. And she demonstrated that their viral images really depend on their condition. So another topic would be very interesting to see mutual effect of human and animals.
Exactly.
Okay.
Influence of animals to humans and humans to animals. Yes.
Yes.
Vladimir Vayekov wants to add a comment on that. We'll give him a word for a minute. Yes, Vladimir.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was really very impressive. And I have one question and one small comment. Question is about dolphins. I've heard that dolphins are very, very efficient healers. Can you tell something more about this?
There were 2 studies that I found that I included in my literature review section of my dissertation, and both of those involved the BioWell and dolphins. The first study was with an eye doctor named Sam Byrne, and he tested some people with dolphins, but he included a lot of other modalities like aromatherapy and color therapy and sound, if I remember. And so it was really hard to tell what effect the dolphins had on the swimmers. But there was another study with a female doctor, I can't recall her name, and she found that the dolphins had a very calming effect. The chakras aligned, the chakras enlarged in size, but her follow-up scans were hours after the swim. So I'm not sure how that correlates, but she did see the effect that dolphins were very calming on the human energetic system. I'd love to try it.
Okay.
And you also talked a lot about energy exchange or energy donation by animals to human beings and back and so on. You see, I'm a little skeptical about such the transformer of energy. In fact, we have more than enough energy in our surrounding and in our body. It can be organized or disorganized.
Yeah.
It seems to me that our relationship and connections to not only to animals but to other people and to environment can change the degree of organization of our energy. That's coherence of our energy. When we are coherent, then first we need much less energy in kilocalories and things like this in order to perform and much more efficiently this or that work. And it seems to me that our interactions with animals, for example, they may, in most cases, improve our coherence, but sometimes it can also distort it in some cases. So we get energy enough. We're in an ocean of energy ourselves. The problem is how to use it more or less efficiently. So it seems to me that usually we are accustomed to speak about the quantity. Better to start to speak more and more about the quality of energy that we need. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually love your skepticism, and the whole idea of coherence and organized versus disorganized makes so much sense. That may be my next dissertation. You know, as we age or we get ill or we're under stress, our light beingness or our ability to use our light becomes disorganized. And so you are right, the animals may be simply helping us with our own organization. Whatever it is, it's really interesting and really neat and really beneficial.
Okay, thank you very much, Leslie.
Thank you.
And I think we will keep in touch further on. And I have a couple of comments and proposals to make your research more methodologically correct. So we will exchange later on via email. Okay. So there was a question to Krishna Madappa. Krishna, the question is, dear sir, as every meridians are influenced by the elements, will it be right to conclude the influence of a particular element on an individual based meridian energy readings. So, Krishna, please turn on the sound.
Mute. Audible?
Yes.
Brilliant. Actually, when we cannot look at an item that is separate from the whole. So every facet is an integration. In the principles of Ayurveda, we define these as the elements of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Of course, these interfaces of elements are also not only at a micro level within this ecosystem of the human energy field, but it is also very interconnected with solar systems. It is also very interconnected with galactic systems. So to define one element to be the governing element, while the other elements could be the supportive. Now, deeper, as we go a little deeper, just like what dear Constantine went to Peru and he started his excavations. So in a similar manner, when we begin to observe these fields of elements, we are also able to observe what we take it to another level, which is what we call our dosha. And the doshas are actually very related to the sattvic mind, the tamasic mind, and the rajasic mind. So these are complex systems, what we would consider inside of dynamic action, dynamic activity. So ultimately, what do we learn? What do we taught right at the inception from an early formative period when the rishis in gurukuls transmitted their education? It was to first know thyself. And know thyself is recognizing who we are in relationship to the macro, then seeing oneself so that every element, every part of the senses becomes in an equanimity of life. I hope that assisted you to the response of your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Krishna. As usual, you give not only the answer, but several times more than answer. It's very big in scale, always. Thank you. Okay, I have another question to Krishna. So what is your favorite color? Because you were talking about hue, man. So what is your favorite hue or color, whatever you call it?
Violet, indigo, blue. You see, I have blue behind me.
Okay. So, and another question. Well, just keep it simple, but because people have commented a lot about that. Were you like that? Well, full of love, etc., that people have enjoyed a lot through your lecture since the birth, or you have done something to attain this kind of life attitude?
Here, I will keep this as succinct as possible. You know that in Vedic culture, deep Vedic culture, when there is a gestation process that is occurring, the mother recites hymns from the Vedas and also the Gita. So when Krishna was in the gestation chamber, my mother used to recite from the Rig Veda and read the Gita. She recited. And she said, as the little fellow was growing, when she stopped reading the Gita, this little one used to kick vehemently. So again, there are deeper principles that underlie it, because now we all understand that it is informational transfer and vibration coupled, because that is Sanskrit. No, Sanskrit is vibration of all intelligence. When that is seeded, it becomes a very natural. So this guy has always been the most loving person, even if there are issues that have occurred in life. It's still it's bigger than that, because awaken the heart, you awaken the dormant soul.
Okay, I love your answer, Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you. So another question we have to Erico Azevedo. Please turn on the sound, Dr. Erico. Greetings, by the way, you were not online when your speech was on. So you have the right to tell a couple of words, and then I will cite the question to you.
Okay. So hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be together with you. For the first time, I was in 2016. I was in Russia with Dr. Korotkov, and I really found I was with my team of guys. So I really found myself with lots of people doing research and conducting research and interested about themes and subjects and arguments in a non-dogmatic way, in a very open format. I was conducting research on information fields. I believe this can contribute to explain a lot of Dr. Leslie McBride research, and it's absolutely aligned with what Krishna has just said. So it's all about information that organizes energy, and energy, there is no energy without a form or information that organizes it. Also, Dr. Vladimir Voyakov made a mention about that. So it's all about organization, and so in how information underlies and organizes energy in our body and all the relationship that we have. We're not precisely exchanging that amount of energy. So in that, I'm absolutely in accordance with Dr. Vladimir. So we are exchanging fields of information that can organize and disorganize us. So of course, some animals will organize us and some animals in such positions. So it's not an absolute position. An animal can be in an aggressive situation toward us or in a sympathetic situation toward us. So according to this, we could call psychic position or intentional position between beings. We interfere within each other. And then of course we can heal or cause disease. So I think there's so much to say and so short time. I'm really happy to be here with you.
Okay, thank you very much. There is a question from one of the participants to you, from Anna Kadima. How will you measure the enteric nervous system? With two questions.
Two questions. Yes, we tried to capture in the time of a PhD research. The objective was not measuring the enteric nervous system, but we thought it would be important to measure how it reacts. So the measurement would be electrical and magnetic. So basically what we proposed, but we have not developed, is an equipment which is made of two antennas, one absolutely closed circle to measure the magnetic passage or variation of any current around the region, the abdominal region. And a second one, a semicircle, which can measure the electric variations. So using these two simultaneously, these two antennas around the abdominal area, we should probably be able to capture electrical variations of the enteric nervous system. And with these, of course, there would be a lot of data processing and data analysis. So we wouldn't have the time to do that in one research. So we focused on our objective, which was to show that there were information transduction with no energy passage using the Faraday shield. and distance and physical distance between the two human beings.
Okay, a provocative question to you, okay? I just try to keep it simple in a couple of sentences or around that. From your perspective, as long as you're involved in such a research, what is the difference between the energy and information?
In nature, we just separate them in a rational way to understand them better. But in nature, there is no energy without a form. We cannot talk about pure energy without no form. So the information is what gives the form or organization to a certain quantum of energy. So the difference that we use is merely didactic. It shouldn't be ontological. But we used this difference in an ontological way, and therefore we arrived at a dualistic scientific model. So basically, I believe this is one of the major endeavors and challenges that we have in science.
Okay, thank you very much. Pretty straight and pretty precise answer. Thank you very much. Well, we have a question. Bibiana Gomez is willing to ask a question, to my mind. I don't know. Are you there? And Leonel Contreras also trying to ask something. Maybe it's easier for you to, type your questions rather than to raise the hand, because we cannot hear you now. No, they're not answering anything, but okay. So we will put the hands down. Okay. So, what else we have on our list? Next, question to Dr. Korotkov. Did you find any significant or interesting readings of Sputnik at the Cave of the Mummies? Were they something special or they were pretty normal?
Yes, it's a good question, because I was hoping it will be something, but it was nothing unusual. Very predictable measurements as in any other place. That's why it was one of the reasons, that's why I believe and I think that this wasn't the real cave. Because as we all know, this guy, Mario, he has many more mummies. And I've seen one of the mummy in Mexico in private collection. So that's clear that he didn't want to present everything. And that's why I believe that this was just a little cave where he takes interested people to show them, but it's not real. It may be a fake.
Okay, thank you very much. Question to Victor Hugo Arguelles Mora and Benjamin Ruiz. Are you there? I don't see Benjamin. Ah, he's here. Okay. Please turn on your sound. There were a couple of questions to you. So, number one, exclusion zone water usually carries negative charge. Will it have any bearing on the surface tension, hence affecting the capillary actions in the plants?
Yes, thanks, Dimitri. I don't know, Vic, if you want to answer.
Go, Benjamin.
Okay, thanks. In reality, I think the impact for the plants, and when we go with the University Chapingo, and they have the experience when they apply this kind of water, I suppose this energy, this negative energy, influence or make some metabolism in the plants. I agree with this comment.
Okay, so another question is also to you and Victor. So exclusion zone water also is seen to reduce the Rolex formation in the blood when consumed. In human, can we measure the change in entropy as well? What do you think?
I don't know, but I think it's a good question for Gerald Pollack, because as you know, he discovered that one of the conclusions is the exclusion zone is very clear, is associated with the cell membranes. And this impulse, and even he pushed on the table that the sodium and potassium bomb don't exist. In reality, this differential of potential become from the zone exclusion. And I think I don't know how we can measurement this entropy inside of the blood.
Okay. Yeah, well, some questions create even more questions after being asked. It happens.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Benjamin Ruiz. Thank you. Another question we have on the list. Let me cite it. Is to Fernando Sanchez. A long one, a long question. Do you think that non-ionizing radiation or various magnetic fields that humans are currently subjected to, for example, 5G, Wi-Fi, cell phones, microwaves, high voltage electrical networks, MRI scans, can significantly affect this exchange of information between the various biological elements of our body, changing the carrier wave that you mentioned in your lecture? Could this be the cause of several current health disorders that medical science cannot adequately explain and treat? Alvin from Brazil. So, Fernando, please turn on the sound.
Yeah, it's turned on.
Yes, welcome.
It's an interesting question because we have a lot of contamination in radiation. And of course, there is an interference because we are alive in fields of waves. So to me, there is some interference on each wave pattern. But it depends of two factors. First of all, how much time we are close to the source. And the other factor is if we are very close or at a long distance. So my recommendation is to not spend a lot of time in close to a source of waves, and yes, be prudent with this. And try to spend to stay with a long distance. The more distance, the less flow of energy.
And can it affect the carrier wave that you were talking about in your presentation?
It cannot, because the carrier wave is light. So the light is very precise and is not affected by the external waves.
Okay, yes, very good. Thank you very much. Next question is to Dr. Michael Borken. Are you there? He disappeared already. Oh, okay. Please turn on the sound. Michael, please turn on the sound.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
You're on. So the question is, your presentation was very interesting. And the question is how long it takes to get rid of the post-COVID-19 syndrome if you use the supplements?
I believe at this point the supplements help in the recovery process and help to maintain. However, we're still going through the learning curve. You know, I've had wonderful progress. However, I don't know what to expect as far as this latent aspect of recycling. So we'll know over the course of the next few months and the next year as far as how people are going to respond long term after they've recovered theoretically from the symptomology of the virus.
Thank you very much, Michael, for your comment. And actually, so the question from us will be how significant, of course, we have the nutrition, our nutritional habits, like the regular food and beverages that we take in. What is, from your perspective, the importance of all these additional supplements that we should potentially take in as add-on to the regular food that we take? How significant is this factor nowadays?
We're, as you know, we're as different as our fingerprints. So as far as the specifics are concerned of what we should be supplementing, and I'm not one who over supplements. I feel that supplementation should be used with surgical precision. So using the BioWell and dynamic detection, I've been able to develop for patients and myself specific protocols that are truly dynamic, that change day to day, week to week. However, there are some specifics, and I think everybody's pretty much aware of the generalities of what's being suggested. However, I can tell you, and I think the research is coming out, that the use of mouth coverings, such as a mask, does affect oxygen uptake, utilization. There's a multitude of other factors associated with using masks, isolation, this whole idea of separation of at least 6 feet. I've actually developed a foundation within 6 feet because of the Harvard study and how important it is that we understand that the immune system requires stimulation, challenge, that we need to resume a lot of our activities, and at the same time, we need to keep our immune activity and our general health as strong as possible. One of the issues I tried to bring out as far as my personal experience was that I was also suffering from a tooth infection that I didn't realize at the time. And it wasn't until midway through the cycle that I addressed it, and it did have a fairly dramatic effect as far as symptomology. So I think we need to be aware that this isn't going away soon, and that we have to be somewhat vigilant as far as the consistent use of our supplementation, and especially probiotics, anti-inflammatories, antioxidants.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. And let's continue. We have other questions pending. And so there are a couple of questions to Dr. Korbkov about the mummies. is it possible the mummies or some of them were aquatic beings, so lived in the oceans? So knowing that now it's a desert, so maybe at those times it was not a desert, and maybe the long-fingered hands may have been webbed for swimming. What do you think about that?
I think it's absolutely improbable, because it is very well known that in those areas of Nazca, for last maybe 50,000 years or even more, it was no rains. And the ocean was there millions of years ago, not thousands of years ago. So as we have proven that those mummies have several thousand years old, then of course it's absolutely improbable that they are from aqua system. So I believe that maybe they are descended of dinosaurs, little ones, but not from fish, not from sea creatures. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much for your answer. Another question to Marcel and Adolfo, the only double speakers. So please turn on the sound. Well, as long as all your investigations, your research was connected with lots of travels and visiting many interesting places, what are your plans for now, for the future, for the nearest future, considering the conditions in which we are living now?
Well, we are happy where we are, and we are not worried, but our future plans hopefully is that the borders will open in time for our next retreats in Colombia or in Costa Rica. We have plans in Costa Rica for October and in Colombia for November. And if the borders open, we will have a full schedule of retreats with the Yahe, the ayahuasca retreats with Taita, and keep measuring. We're learning now about the apitherapy, which is a very interesting medicine. We are seeing results not only in us, but in the other patients that go to apitherapy with us. And we are having excellent results also with the CDS. So we are keeping ourselves very busy and very healthy.
Yes, and we are measuring the changing of the Sputnik is here. We always measure, because the idea is to measure the change of consciousness. So we believe that the Mayans in 2012, they say that it will be changing the energy of the world. So these 10 years that are crossing now is very important, and these 2 years are more. No? So we will be expecting a lot of changes from these 2 next years. So the idea is not to see how we change the way we think and the way we heal. So that's the idea.
And keep measuring the interaction of the energy, the information. We also agree coherent information makes a coherent human being and environment. And the patterns are already very organized. We just have to learn how to synchronize with the organized patterns of the universe.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. One more question to Dr. Kortkov from Eriko Azevedo. Why did you prefer to put the hypothesis of another human branch rather than instead extraterrestrial humans? What do you think?
Okay, so to me, the hypothesis of extraterrestrial is not interesting at all. Because now we understand that life on other planets should be organized based on organic principles, because carbon is the most, I would say, the only convenient element to organize many connections with different other elements. That's why it should be a carbon-based life. It means organic life. Plus oxygen because it's water. So it's absolutely clear as well. So of course, other creatures may be of other size, other 3 fingers, 10 fingers, doesn't matter. But you see, I believe that first we need to look for known to us principles. And then only if we fail, then we look for something else. So never ever it was found any tracks of UFO. I mean material tracks. Of course, it is many evidences of existence of UFO, and I believe this, no doubts. But to my mind, those evidences, those are indication of projection. Projection from other dimensions, other planets, or other maybe centuries. Same as crop circles that I've been studying. So that is why, for me, this hypothesis of extraterrestrial is not so much interesting. In my book, I put a little chapter about this, but just a little one. So this is just another type of a fairy tale. Yes, we can believe that those are dwarfs, or those are some say fairy tale creatures, or we can believe those are extraterrestrials. It's the same for me. So I prefer to develop first the line of known to us science. That is why I hope that at some moment would be possible to get DNA of dinosaurs, and then it would be possible to compare those DNA with what we know with those little creatures. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kortkov. One more question to Bill McKenna. Are you there, Bill? Yes, please turn on the sound.
Hi.
Hi. So the question from Dr. Milton Moura from Brazil. So how long does your therapeutic intervention last? I think that he's talking about the effect. Do you have follow-up for these patients? Is there a tendency to return to the previous pattern, and how do you deal with this trend?
Okay, there's a couple questions in there. I'll go kind of one by one. The overwhelming majority of the patients that utilize Cogno movement, what happens is that they go through the process of, focused on it. For example, I had one woman who was she had craving for Coca-Cola, and so that was her thing. And I just had her to imagine enjoying Coca-Cola, and we did the exercise. And when we did the exercise, she felt a sensation in her belly button area, and then that went away, and then she felt it in her throat. And as the sensation moved, the craving for Coca-Cola went lower and lower. Eventually, it left her throat, and it was gone. It went down to a 0. This same woman, about 3 months later, she came back, and when she went to try Coca-Cola again, it kind of lost its luster. She didn't really like it anymore. Instead, it had a metallic taste. Didn't really like it. But she said that over time, for her, in this particular case, the craving went back to about a 3 instead of a 10. And we did the session again, and it went away to a 0 and never came back again. So that would be what I would call a worst case scenario. In most cases, we've had where we do the exercise and that's it, because it's no longer in the body. They literally has left the physical body, and when I don't have a feeling, then I don't attach, I don't start thinking. about it. So my thoughts and my feelings are interconnected. When the feeling goes away, so too goes the thoughts. It literally creates like an amnesia. It's kind of almost a problem with this modality, because people literally forget that they even did it. And I run into people years later, I say, hey, you know, that big, huge problem in your life, you know, how's it doing? They're like, oh, I haven't even thought about it. They're like, they forget. So it's much like your finger, you know, at one point in your life, you probably hurt your finger, and then the finger got better, and now you just don't think about it anymore. So that's what happens. As far as the test results, yes, we got a lot of them. I did some other ones in another interview with Dimitri. I think that's going to be posted on YouTube. There's some on Gaia. There's a new interview coming out there, and there's also ones on YouTube under Proof of What Heals Us. There's an interesting interview called that with Regina Meredith on YouTube.
Okay, and one more question to you. Well, first of all, of course, congratulations on your presentation and work, again, from Dr. Mora. You according to him, you basically work with the balance of the autonomic nervous system. It's therapy studies with both cerebral hemispheres. It's not a question yet, but the question is, do you know Psych-Key? Is it similar to that?
So the answer to that is there's some similarities in that the Psych-K does cross-body movements. I've worked with Psych-K along with many other modalities, but I found that cognitive movement applies to, which I didn't really get into in the interview, but neurological issues that we're doing studies on. I can't say it all because we haven't gotten through the studies, but the very interesting that neurological issues, what we're discovering is, like, for example, in the periphery, or somebody gets a surgery and they have a lot of pain in the particular place. Now, previously, people would think that, oh, that's peripheral neuropathies in the periphery, or the issue with the pain where the cut is because it's right there at the specific location. There's new evidence that actually it's in the brain. There is a connection that either gets reconnected or is a new connection, and then the issue goes away. So there's, I would say, an awful lot more that this cognitive movement we found it applies to.
Thank you very much, Bill. Really magnificent work, and well, we wish you all the best with the further development, because, well, I think more and more people have to know about your system and to know about this kind of an easy reprogramming method of the mindset, I would say. So thanks a lot once again. Well, I don't see any more questions. The only thing that I want to say at the end, and to give the word to Dr. Kortkov to close the Congress, is that, well, looking at these Congress presentations and these brilliant minds working out of the box, thinking out of the box, and like crossing the borders. And well, we have to pray to internet gods for making it possible to sit like this with the whole world united, because we have people from Malaysia, China, Taiwan, we have people from India, Russian Federation, from different parts of it, from European countries, from South Africa, and from South America and North America. So, well, all the continents are involved in this process, and it's so wonderful to see all of you working in such an interesting fields and Thanks to all of you for coming, joining our Congress. Oh, it was our first try to make it like this. I hope it was more or less fine and you enjoyed it. And I think that much more people will be able to watch the recordings of your magnificent, outstanding speeches later on our YouTube channel, because through, for example, yesterday, there were like 300 people turning on and turning off, connecting to the YouTube streaming, whilst only through one night, there were 300 people more watched the Congress again. So it's only within one day. And of course, I think according to the numbers that we have now, there are going to be thousands of people worldwide interested in this kind of outstanding research that you have done. Thank you all very much from me, from our team, and I'm handing over the word to Dr. Korotkov.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dmitry. And of course, please turn me on. Of course, we need to thank you for this amazing work in organizing everything, in keeping everything in order. So we should know that it's a lot of activity that was done by Dmitry. And as he has many other topics to do in his life, not only in business, not only in BioWell. So it's really, really remarkable. And seems to me that this was success, because all presentation was very interesting, very interesting. And it's very good that we asked people to make records beforehand, because some technical issues, you know, that we've seen it, and it was seen at other congresses, but this is a good forum. Next year, we'll make it similar, so it will be online for sure, and it will be free online. But as Michael Borkin told us, if we can meet, if we can sit together, if we can embrace each other, if we can shake hands with each other, look to eyes like this, then of course it makes us much more stronger than we are. So that's why I hope that next year we wouldn't have these stupid limitations. There's, I agree again with Michael, those are totally stupid, and it didn't help against this virus, but anyway. So, so please follow up our websites, because all information will be there beforehand. We'll have it for sure first weekend in July next year. So it's very easy to remember. And I invite all of you, all who are listening, who are presenting, to join us next year, either physically or just by this virtual forum. And by the end, together with my wife, we want to congratulate you with this time. We want to share with you our love to you, our love to what we are doing, and we want to raise our glasses, and because it is very important for all of us to enjoy life and to be happy in our life. So to all of you and to all of us.
Cheers. So everyone can turn on the sound now. It's all like I'm not controlling it, and say final goodbye, whatever, in any language you like.
Ciao!
Até a próxima!
Ciao, bye bye.
Feliz em vê-los! Grande, grande!
Grazie mille. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao,
Ciao,
ciao.
Beautiful work, everyone. Thank you.
Let's make a screenshot. Everybody wave the hand and we will make a screenshot while you're doing that, okay? From all over the world. Thank you. Bravo, bravo, bravo. We'll share the picture later.
Bravi, bravi.
Okay, World United. Take care, and thank you everyone for this wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
See you. See you.
Well done organizing it all, you guys. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Blessings.